What up, big world? So I already filmed this video and I guess I deleted it on accident, which is good, I think, because I didn't really feel fulfilled by the way I shared my story with you guys. Anyways, so I wanted to redo it and just share it the real way, the right way. I have my morning coffee and I have some big news to share with you. So let's get into it.
I'm Juby and this is Justin, and meet our sweet Nugget, Azalea. We've been living in our self-converted school bus since 2018, and after a year and a half of building our home, we've finally hit the road. Join us for the ride as we continue our adventures in our big red pepper.
Before we get into our super important topic today, first we want to send a big shout out and thank you to Surfshark VPN. Not too long ago, maybe a month ago, my Buddha-Bee apiary accounts actually got hacked, and there was somebody out there in the world that was using my account to send people text messages to ask for money or offer loans. When we came across Surfshark VPN, it gave us this extra sense of safety whenever we were going out and logging on to public Wi-Fi's out at these coffee shops that we go to and what have you, knowing that our IDs, passwords, important computer internet things are going to be kept safe. Surfshark VPN adds that layer of security. So if this is something that might provide value to you, check our link in the description, and if you use the coupon code Justin and Juby, you can get 85% off and 3 months for free. So now let's get back to the real topic at hand.
You have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that, because you don't know who you're going to be.
I've been thinking a lot in the past month or so, and a lot has changed when it comes to my business. And from the outside world, like on my social media and you know, on my website, everything is running as usual. But I'm kind of at a place in my life where I have decided to part ways with Moon.Flower.Child, and I'm actually going to be taking a break. I don't really know how long for. I just know that the boutique is going to be closing down until I figure out if it's still what I want to do in life. I think what felt really unauthentic in the last video is that I was really like serious about it, and I can't even begin to express all the different emotions that I've been going through. I've been feeling sad, happy, excited, scared. It's like one second I'm laughing, the next second I'm crying, and I'm just wanting to like be sad and sit in my bed and watch girl movies and just drink tea all alone. I'm just wanting to like take time to process the way I need to process, and I'm still kind of figuring out how I feel about all of it. But the truth is that I'm just ready for change. I'm financially tired of trying to make my business do better. I want to rewind this story all the way back to the beginning, because I've been doing Moon.Flower.Child for 7 years. So for me to all of a sudden stop with like the snap of a finger is just so crazy, because it's been a really wild adventure, and this is like the only job that I've ever known since college. I've always had my side hustle to provide me with that income that I needed, like pizza delivery and working as a preschool teacher, being a retail associate, a barista, you name it, I've probably done it. All the while I was also building this business that I've been doing for 7 years now. Back when Moon.Flower.Child started 7 years ago, I was in Hawaii and I just got done with college. I'd studied fashion design, and I decided I was going to start sewing clothes and collaborating with makers out there. I did a couple of runway shows and some photo shoots and had an amazing time post-college days trying to figure out what I was going to be doing and how I was going to be doing it. Little did I know what I was getting into when it comes to like starting a business. I came back home and I was going through kind of like a dark patch in my life, and I was kind of rediscovering who I was, my purpose. I was also living on a sofa at my friend's place, and I was going to work at a vegan cafe, and I just missed creating with fabric and sewing and stuff. So I decided to go back to my parents' house and continue sewing and somehow going on this venture that is now Moon.Flower.Child. I created another collection there that was the Spring Emancipation collection, and it was this concept of like me coming out of the darkness and like being free to do what I wanted to do, and the like innocence evaporating into the air and me becoming like a woman or whatever. I started working on like creating what would become Moon.Flower.Child. I designed my logo and figured out what my website platform was going to be on. Once I figured that out and I moved back to the States, I kept sewing and doing markets and vending and selling on Etsy. I joined the farmers market, so I was doing markets like every Saturday. I would wake up at like 5:30 in the morning, and Justin and I would have packed up the car the night before, and we would drive to the farmers market, set up, stay there all morning. Some days it was super hot, some days it was rainy. Some days I did great, some days I did not so great, but every weekend, every Saturday morning, that was what I did. Eventually that transitioned to be what I did every Saturday with the bus, because eventually I bought a bus. Oh man, it was like a dream of mine since the beginning to convert a bus into an actual boutique. I had wanted a boutique for the longest time, and that was a project that dragged on from October through till February. It was like a 4 to 5 month project. Through the winter, every second I could, after I was working at the preschool, I would go out and I would work on this bus, sand the outside, I would gut the inside, I would reconfigure the floor and the design and the concept of what was going to be on the inside, and figure out like where my racks were going to go and shelves and all this stuff. And it was probably like some of the best times of my business life, because it felt like I was making so much progress to obtain something that I had only ever dreamed of. With my $10,000, I bought and converted this bus, set it up with everything I needed so that I could then vend out of the bus. So I started doing local events, and I was going around Durham and the Triangle area, setting up at markets and events, as well as like creating my own event and collaborating with local businesses to do pop-up shops. So I would contact the businesses by email like a month in advance and set up a time and propose would be an amazing collaboration for such and such reasons. That was so cool. I felt so professional, and I felt like I was starting to establish a name for myself in the local area, which felt really amazing. So now people know me whenever I walk around town. They're like, oh, you're Moonflower.Child. I'm like, yeah, cool, that's amazing. People started to really get to know my brand, and the bus and the community I was building was just like really, really special. The bus was also amazing because obviously it's on wheels, so I was able to go up and down the East Coast. I went all the way up to Massachusetts to vend at Levitate Festival, which was my best festival ever, except that I was still learning about what worked and what didn't work when it came to like running a mobile boutique. And when I was traveling, obviously there was a bunch of tolls, gas, almost broke down on the way back home, new tire as soon as I got back. Honestly, I was so naive in how I was running my business at that time that I wasn't budgeting my money properly. Because my bus was breaking down left and right, I was getting to know the towing community very well. And that became very expensive very quickly. Eventually, sadly, as you all know, my bus broke down. It needed a whole new engine. That was going to cost me more than I had spent on the bus. So I was brainstorming all kinds of crazy ideas, like I could rip the engine out and turn it into a trailer and weld on a trailer hitch. Anyways, that was probably like some of the hardest decisions that I had ever had to go through for my business. I didn't know what was happening, and at that point we were in a weird transition in our life where we were about to move to Atlanta. When that fell through, we ended up moving into a tiny house. At this point, we'd already purchased our bigger bus, so we had 2 buses, and then also I found out I was pregnant. So all these things were happening at once. When we moved into the tiny house, we had to downsize like dramatically, and I went from having a studio in a 2-bedroom house to working on the floor, setting up a table outside, trying to sew in every way I could. It was not practical at all. So I realized quickly that sewing wasn't going to be able to be my thing anymore. I wasn't going to be able to create clothing the way I had. Decided to just start selling everything. So honestly, I was going to resale stores and I would sell a piece that I would have sold for like $150 for like $20 so they could sell it for like $40. That was honestly like really heartbreaking. I felt like I had failed myself because I was selling everything that I could and anything that I could. I was selling them my hangers for like 5 cents a piece. And I was just like, take it, all of it. I don't know what to do with it. I'm trying to sell the bus. I need to get the bus empty and clean. And so I sold everything. That was really hard. I just focused on being pregnant. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I started to become fascinated with metal smithing and silversmithing. So I took a 2-day immersive course and I literally fell in love. I bought the tools that I needed and I started making jewelry. So my studio space went from being that 1 bedroom to like literally a desk in this bus that we were living in. I was making jewelry at any time I could. And then once Azalea was born, I was doing just still the best I could to like make product when I could. I wanted to be aware of the fact that I had a baby now and there's certain fumes that you have to be aware of, and so I was sort of anxious about making jewelry in such a small space with a newborn, as well as it was just taking me so much time that I ended up in the same position as I had been in with the clothing, where I was making one-off, one-size clothing pieces from dead stock fabric and waste materials. So it was kind of like a handmade vintage store. I was charging more than what people were willing to spend. I found myself in the same situation for the jewelry. It was taking me too long to make only one piece, and I switched gears completely, and I also began expanding my apothecary line, which you guys all know is pretty much what I've been focusing on as of late. It's been so much fun. I've really been enjoying taking care of my body, learning about what products I love, learning about like all these different ingredients. It's like cooking. I've been learning so much about herbalism and it's been really amazing. So I think I needed to move into the studio for so many reasons, because the business started doing so well that I had all this stuff inside the box. It was taking up our personal world. Like literally every cabinet and cupboard had something for Moon.Flower.Child in it, whether it be like my shipping materials, my product, my, you know, supplies. And I found it really hard to like think and see clearly in a way that would allow me to know what I was going to be doing, like what direction I was going to go and why, and if this was truly making me happy and all these different things. So I got the studio space. I moved in like a little over a month ago and I've been loving it. It's really amazing, and it's a blessing to be able to have enough of an income that I can rent a space like this. I'm able to sustain, but the issue is that I don't want to keep trying to sustain at this level. What's next for Moon.Flower.Child is kind of unknown. I don't really know what direction it's going. I'd like it to be like a creative YouTube channel where I can share content about like style, fashion, making things for your body and self-care routines, jewelry making and paper making and pressed flower making and bouquet making, like creative flow and sharing it. I don't know, but that's still like an idea.
Yeah, but not knowing is okay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like there's an element that you have to be okay with that, right?
But it's also like I don't want to give up Moon.Flower.Child, so maybe this is like a way for me to keep it alive, but in a different format. And it's also a way for me to like make what I want when I want without having the pressure of selling something to make a living. The toll that it takes on me when I'm being creative to make a living being creative, or being creative just to be creative. It was never really about money, and I was always able to just create whenever I wanted to and whatever I wanted to, but I was also like running a business that allowed me to have the lifestyle that I was wanting. And now there's like this pressure, having Azalea and you and all these future goals, having just tried to like buy a house, kind of disappointing that after so long it's still not good enough to be able to accomplish certain dreams and goals that we have in life. Being able to realize that maybe the shift is more so that Moon.Flower.Child is becoming more of a passion project and something that's more of like a hobby and things that I enjoy doing that I want to share, and I don't want it to feel like the day-to-day monotonous work where I go to my office every day, I'm away from my family, I'm stressed because a certain customer might be unsatisfied with something, or the post office messed something up, and everything that makes Moon.Flower.Child a functioning business is kind of like overwhelming me, and it's no longer easy. Before, it maybe was a little easier because I had more time. When it became not a hobby anymore and more of a business, all kind of started slowly shifting whenever I started having my bus in the picture in Meraki, and I was having to move away from making the clothing into, okay, what is going to be sustainable for my business to make a living income so that I can pay myself? How can I save time and focus on marketing strategies and reduce my cost of goods, logistical things that I wasn't really paying attention to at the beginning when it was fun and I was just creating to create and doing runway shows. It shifted into how much are my expenses, how much did it cost me to drive all the way to Massachusetts to vend at this festival. It just became this cycle again of like, I'm wanting to be creative, but I'm being forced in a way to have to make a certain amount of money and have a greater income to be able to sustain the financial side of Moon.Flower.Child, and that I still don't have enough time to do it all, to make the product and market and sell and update the website and keep up with inventory and do customer service and do my bookkeeping and accounting and also be a wife and a mom and just somehow also have time for myself.
It kind of becomes this animal, this machine.
It's intense.
That just continually
So
grows
intense.
bigger, exponentially over time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
It gets
you
more and more
realize,
overwhelming.
you realize you've got this humongous thing that requires so many different facets of it that you have to do.
I want to prove to you guys that I'm capable of also contributing to making money and earning a living. And when you don't make enough, and not enough is like $400 in a month, that sucks.
After how much time do you put in?
30 hours.
On
It's
top
like,
of doing
on
like
top
the
of-
video editing.
Yeah, on top of doing stuff for YouTube and the channel that we do together, and being a mom, doing the cooking and the cookbook, generally keeping up with emails, still keep up with family.
Although your business is not how it is, there's tons of businesses out there that are succeeding, that are failing, and that are right there in the middle.
Yeah.
But for you, explain to
Kind of
us
been all over.
the way that your numbers worked, how you begun to see that this was the time.
My finances weren't great.
But that also doesn't mean that you didn't get damn good at numbers.
No, that's true. I totally learned how to do my bookkeeping, and it took me 7 years to get there because I'm so bad at maths. That's probably why for the last like 5-6 years, Moon.Flower.Child never did good. I didn't even know like the difference between gross, net, and like markups and your bottom line and like being in the black or the red or like all this stuff. Like
Super
I didn't know
business
any
savvy.
of it. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself.
Good job. Good job, dude.
If anything, like that's something that it took me a while to
'Cause
understand.
you
and learn,
hated
but,
it.
Like, yeah, I did. I hated it. But I also hated it because I never saw the numbers I wanted to see. Thanks to everybody out there, I had my best sales in the most recent months ever, and just strictly online. I think also the transition to do sales from in person, running my bus, to go online was scary because I didn't know how that was going to go, but the YouTube really helped, like full circle, help build the community and the following. Honestly, just like it's been amazing to have everyone support my business the way they have, and I don't want you to think that I've had to close for any other reason than for my own personal needs. I don't want you to feel like it was your fault. I have weird guilt that I don't want you to feel that it wasn't enough. I'll do round numbers so it's easy.
Yeah.
I made $10,000 and I had to spend about $5,000 on inventory.
Wait, whoa, $10,000? That's like, whoa.
I know.
Whoa, right?
I know.
Right?
I mean, For me, it was to
No,
see
I mean,
that
in
amount
general,
online. Yeah.
anybody's thinking about
Yeah.
that. I'm like, damn.
$10,000 in a month.
Okay.
I made $10,000 gross in a month. That doesn't include the cost for shipping and the cost for the packaging, the cost for the supplies, all my cost of goods, including also the inventory, the product itself. So once I minus all of my expenses for cost of goods, that leaves me about like $5,000, of which about $2,500 is going towards my shipping costs, my overhead expenses, so running the business, the cost that it takes to pay for Shopify, my website, any supplementary apps that I have to help with my bookkeeping, my QuickBooks, the Adobe Illustrator suite, what else do I have on there? Pay for Verizon, internet fees and phone bill, and the list could go on, but you get the idea. My expenses leaves me with about like $2,500, of which 20% of that goes to the government. So actually what I'm left with is about $2,000, of which I was saving about 10 to 20% of that for a rainy day, for future dreams and goals for what Moonflower.Child could become, a space like a brick and mortar, hiring somebody, of which I would then be left with what I pay myself. My goal in running my numbers was always to have a certain amount of money left in my bank account after each month and all the payouts. The way all those numbers would go is variable dependent on how much I sell and how much I spend. So I could make $10,000, but if my expenses for my cost of goods were not $5,000 but like $6,000 or $7,000, because I had poor planning or because the merchandise I purchased for that month was more expensive, then I would have a smaller net profit.
You know, essentially you would be left with anywhere from $500 to, you know, some of your high months were $2,000. And
Yeah.
this was for roughly 120 hours a month.
And for a business that I've been running for the last like 7 years. So we can all imagine what I was paying myself before.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I always had side jobs.
Yeah.
And when it became the full-time gig, it was amazing, but the struggle to get it to have like a livable wage was really difficult. I could have like hustled and had an employee to help pack and ship orders. Meanwhile, I'm hustling to like sell $30,000 worth of product in a month. But you and I have talked about traveling and having these bigger dreams, and I just saw the trajectory of Moonflower.Child as it was growing, being in a space, working every day, and like being responsible for my employees, being responsible for my customers, being held responsible for all aspects of the business. And honestly, I've been doing it for 7 years, and I think I've done everything that I wanted to do with the business. You know, I did the dream. I had a boutique. I did it on wheels. I traveled up and down the East Coast. I went to festivals. I met crazy people. I did collaborations. I made clothes. I made jewelry. I did photo shoots. I just did so much. I feel like it's the end of a chapter. It doesn't bring me the same joy as it used to because it's a different format of business. I feel like there's so much more to life than just going to work every day and building a business. Life isn't about, you know, grinding every day and being stressed and tired and constantly talking and living your work. I feel like life is about adventure and laughter and new cultures, new experiences, and meeting people, creating memories, living in the moment and enjoying the moment, you know? Full-time Justin and Juby.
Wait. What does this even mean? What is that?
Red Pepper Productions. Red Pepper Productions.
How is this even possible?
Okay, so this is so possible because you watched a brief ad at the beginning of this video. Just little things like that are helping us transition into running our YouTube as our full-time gig. I'm excited to create really amazing videos, maybe 2 videos a week, maybe a website, resources that we can share with you guys, sharing more with our Patreons, sharing more recipes with our Patreons every like week or every month. The new journey of what's to come and like how we live. It's cool that we're able to share our journey with you guys and it be our full-time gig. It's already offering us more than what I've ever made with Moonflower.Child, and it helps us continue on our journey to travel. The scariest thing to making the transition is how many times Moonflower.Child went from being like a hobby to a work. I don't want Justin and Juby to transition into like work mode. I think it's so important that if you love your work, it shouldn't feel like work. It should be enjoyable and fun, and that's what makes you great at what you do, because you love it so much that it's not work and it's not overwhelming. And of course, I'm assuming that there will be days when I'm stressed out and like the video editing is going to be too much, or my computer broke. And I think what's scary about this is that you don't really know what the future holds, and this is such a new form of earning a living, and we're still super new to it, like don't fully understand it. We're still kind of figuring things out. We're still kind of like testing stuff and seeing what you guys love, what we love, and we're gonna make mistakes along the way. But at the end of the day, I think all of it is going to be worth the change.
What's the most exciting thing about making the transition?
That I get to be with my family every day, and that we get to be together, documenting our life and sharing it with the world and inspiring other people. I think to all the people who have seen Moonflower.Child from the beginning, firstly, I'm like so grateful that you have all stuck around and been inspired and enjoyed the journey. It's been amazing, and I'm grateful for everyone who supported the business. I feel like I, in a way, need to apologize, and I'm sorry that the business is going to be no more. I hope that you can find other businesses that can offer you everything that Moonflower.Child has been able to offer you. I'm just also grateful just for your presence and support, and I hope that the whole YouTube direction in the future for Moonflower.Child will be something that could continue to inspire you and keep us connected.
Should people still stand boldly as someone different?
Yes, yes, babe.
Yeah.
Always stand boldly as someone different. I think it's so important, no matter what you do, to stand boldly as someone different, because that's your journey that you're, creating for yourself. And at the end of the day, your journey is your own, and it's important for you to feel confident that the choices that you make are the right choices for who you are. The official details of Moonflower.Child closing is that I would love to liquidate all my inventory by October 31st so that I can leave my studio space. I feel like I just moved in. Life changes in the blink of an eye. So if you want to support and help me close things out and begin the new chapter and turn over a fresh leaf, you can find anything online. There's going to be a lot of stuff up for sales. October 31st. Shop. No, I'm kidding. Just if you want to, shop on Moonflower.Child.com. I just hope that this video and everything that you've seen my business go through doesn't discourage you from trying it on your own and doing your own business, because this is my journey, and it doesn't mean that your journey is going to have the same outcome. And I know that if you want to run your own business, it's going to be hard, it's going to be a lot of work, it's going to be long hours, and it's going to be exhausting. You're going to want to give up so many times, but then there are going to be those times when you're going to be on top of the world. It's going to be the most wildest feeling to think that you did this all yourself, that you made this business from scratch into something that you have a following, that people support you. I guess I just don't want to disappoint anyone. I wrap my head around the fact that I'm not disappointed in myself, because I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish with my business and that chapter of my life. So yeah.
Can you give us a tear?
I'm really trying.
What? All right, you're done. Thank you. Thank you. Come again.
You're welcome.